It's day 599. It's also December 25th, 2020, and we are in Meeker, Colorado. You ever wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what am I doing? And more importantly, why? Yeah, me too. Hi, my name's Craig. And this is my story. A story about life. Life out there. For visuals while listening, to watch the video versions of this podcast, or even just to say hey, check us out on our website at lifeoutthere.me. Man. It's almost hard to believe we made it. Over 450 miles from Burlington to Meeker, in the midst of a Colorado winter. In one day. And when I say winter, I mean full-on snow everywhere, a 9-degree morning, no question about it, winter. And the further we drove, it became more and more clear that winter had more than set in here. But with a break in that weather, it felt like we had to make a break for it. At least get over those Rockies and Vail Pass before even looking for a spot to crash for the night. And the plains out here, well, they're something else. Nothing but snow, as far as we can see. Like someone had just dumped a huge bag of flour on everything. And this being our first trek through this part of the country, I kept thinking about how different this must look in the summer. The green fields, grazing cattle, wildflowers here and there. But right now, so quiet, so cold, all snow-covered. Honestly, it's kind of mesmerizing. And we kept driving, watching the scenery shift. Rolling hills take over, still blanketed in snow, of course. The trees are bare, their branches reaching up like they're trying to grab some warmth out of the sky. It's almost like the world's in some sort of hibernation mode here. And then the Rockies show up. And wow, these mountains covered in snow. It's pretty jaw-dropping. The massiveness of it all. The little towns we passed through, Dillon, Frisco, they're kind of picture perfect with snow piled high on the rooftops and icicles dangling everywhere. It's like a postcard come to life. But once again, I'm imagining the summer vibe here in contrast to what we're looking at. Hikers hitting the trail, families biking, those wildflowers carpeting the slopes. Today, though, it's all about the snow. And then that climb up Vail Pass. And this is where it really felt like we'd driven into a different world. The evergreens are loaded down with snow. The road winds its way higher and higher, and we're just soaking it all in. As we headed down toward Meeker, dropping from over 10,000 feet in elevation to around 6,000, the landscape shifts again. This time familiar. I could tell we were getting back into the high desert country, even with the snow still covering everything. The sagebrush pokes through here and there, and the rocky terrain has this rugged, untamed look to it. We've spent a couple of summers now here in the high deserts of the western slope. Hot, dry, and full of earthy reds and golds and browns. But this would be our first time taking in the scenery with its winter coat on. It's still very much the western slope. But this is a personality we had not seen. A personality not really appreciated until you step out into that single-digit air. Now it was sunset, and it had been an hour or so of wrangling, trying to find a spot in one of only 2 parks open year-round. In these temps, I definitely preferred plugging in somewhere. The thought of sitting alongside the road somewhere with the generator fired up was seeming the most likely option. After I'd learned that the first RV park we called was full up, and the second, no answer, after multiple tries. But thankfully, we decided we'd just head over and take our chances at the Rimrock Campground and RV Park. Glad we did. Pretty awesome little spot, actually. A mix of just a few RV spots, tent camping spots, even looked like they had some rental cabins. We quickly got backed into our spot for the night. Didn't even bother leveling up before plugging in and cranking the heat. I walked over to the office, which looked like it might be the owner or campsite host's home, but it was closed. I looked around for an after-hours payment box, but I couldn't find one. So I figured we'd check back in the morning. And on the walk back, I'd pass by the few campers that would be our neighbors for the night, and I could tell immediately. Winter camping? Well, that's serious stuff around here. Ours was the only rig not all tucked in with skirting, protecting their undersides, and plumbing from the cold, and reflectix in all their windows. These folks, they're here for the winter, it seems. For us, it'd be the propane heat circulating below Vacilando along with the rooftop heater cranked up that would keep us warm for the night, and, hopefully, the water tanks and pipes from freezing. Dougie and I managed a couple of walks before full-on dark. He may have enjoyed the cold, the 6 inches of fresh snow on the ground, but me, not so much. And it would be an evening tucked in under the covers and reading about this place called Meeker, a picturesque town that sits quietly in the White River Valley. But its history? Anything but quiet. Long before this town was settled, the area was home to the Ute people. They thrived in the valley, living off the land, moving with the seasons, and holding deep ties to the rugged beauty of what we now call Colorado. Their story stretched back generations, long before European American settlers arrived in the mid-1800s, and by that time, fur trappers and traders, well, they were beginning to explore the region. Enticed by its natural resources and untouched landscapes. But as westward expansion pushed settlers into the area, the balance between indigenous tribes and newcomers began to shift. And I hadn't read much more when I learned of the Meeker Massacre, an event that would forever change the trajectory of the Ute people and give the town its controversial name. In 1878, Nathan Meeker, a journalist turned Indian agent, was tasked with overseeing the White River Agency. Indian agents were representatives of the U.S. government appointed to manage relations with Native American tribes, often the goal of assembling them into Western culture. And while the title might sound neutral, agents like Meeker frequently approached their roles with a heavy-handed and often disrespectful attitude towards the people they were supposed to serve. And Meeker was no exception. His mission was to push the Utes into farming and Christianity, abandoning their traditional way of life. But his methods? Well, they were kind of forceful and dismissive of Ute customs. And tensions came to a boiling point in 1879 when Meeker, after destroying a horse racetrack the Utes cherished, he called the U.S. Army for support following that dispute. And what followed was chaos. Ute warriors ambushed the advancing troops near Milk Creek, sparking a deadly battle that killed Major Thomas Thornburg and several soldiers. And at the very same time, Ute fighters attacked the agency, killing Nathan Meeker and 10 of his employees. Women and children, including Meeker's wife and daughter, were taken hostage, but later released unharmed after negotiations. And this tragic event became known as the Meeker Massacre, marking the beginning of the end for the Utes in Colorado. The public outcry pushed for their removal, and by the early 1880s, most Utes were forcibly relocated to reservations in Utah. Following the massacre, the U.S. Army established a military garrison in the area to maintain order. And as tensions eased and settlers streamed in, the camp closed, and a small town began to emerge. Meeker was officially founded in 1883. It was named after the very man whose actions had led to so much tragedy. And by 1885, it was incorporated, becoming the first town in northwestern Colorado. The town's fertile soils and land in the White River Valley made it an ideal spot for ranching and agriculture, which drove its early growth. Visitors, including the likes of President Theodore Roosevelt, they came for the area's unmatched hunting opportunities, adding to Meeker's reputation as a destination for outdoor enthusiasts. And over time, the town grew into a tight-knit community, balancing its natural beauty with its agricultural roots. And fast forward to the modern Meeker, it seems you'll find a place that celebrates both its past and its present. The White River Museum preserves the town's history, telling the story of the Utes, the settlers, and the soldiers who once called this valley home. Meanwhile, the Flat Tops Wilderness Area and the White River National Forest, they offer endless opportunities for hiking, fishing, wildlife viewing, anything outdoors. In the winter months, the area becomes a hub for snowmobiling and cross-country skiing, while summer brings those campers, hunters, and outdoor lovers. One of Meeker's standout events is the annual Meeker Classic Sheepdog Trials. It attracts visitors from all over the world. It's a reminder of the town's ranching heritage and its connection to the land. And today, from our cozy little spot, seems like Meeker has become a blend of old and new. A small, welcoming town with a rich history and a deep appreciation for the rugged landscapes that surround it. A place shaped by conflict, resilience, and the determination of the people who've called it home. As I close the laptop for the night, I'm reminded once again that no matter where the road takes us, every place has a story worth telling. Sure, on the surface, a lot of these stories might sound alike. Settlers, survival, resilience. But dig a little deeper, and you'll uncover the threads that make each small town truly its own. That's the magic, I suppose. Beneath the shared history lies something unique, something that sets every town apart, something that lingers long after the telling. And Meeker, Colorado? No exception. Just 58 more miles and we're back in Rangeley. Our third visit since beginning this adventure. We'd already learned so much in our first 2 visits. Kind of hard to imagine there's anything more to learn. But then I thought back over the 90 or so places we've been and learned about, and I reflected on how much I'd learned about Tacoma, the beginning of our adventure. All the things I didn't know, even after living there for nearly 25 years. So I guess it doesn't matter. First visit or 10th. I couldn't help but ask myself as I drifted off to sleep. I wonder what we'll learn there. This thing called life comes with a lot of rules. Maybe it's time to break a few. Because you can. No, seriously. You can.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.